Broadcasting across Australia on Dare Media Group radio stations, this is the Sportcat Show, uncovering secret chapters, strange encounters,
and the occasional technical mishap.
Cross your fingers, there's no technical mishaps tonight. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sportcat Show, formerly known as the Paranormal Guyz. We are live on Dare Talk Radio, Australia, Radio X Country in Australia. Welcome. And of course, on YouTube, you can come over and find us under the Sportcat Shows. Join the chat. We got Chris over here already. And then we have Jen. We have the wonderful and beautiful Jen. She's here. So we've got a special treat for you tonight. We've got, we've been interviewing authors for a little bit now, but we've got an author that's from the Appalachia, and he's got ex-military time, but don't ask him about his top secret squirrel stuff. So Shawn has written a series of books, and you know what? Let's just bring him out to talk about it. Hey, well, no, wrong button. No. See, I told you the button's going to get me. All right, let me move that there. Welcome, Shawn. Tell us I apologize about that.
It's just a way to keep your heart rate up.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about yourself, Shawn.
Well, I am in my 50s. I came to writing about 3 years ago. I have another profession I do for my day job. I work in the banking industry. And I write mostly about vampires, but it's definitely not exactly my cup of tea, believe it or not. What I find interesting about my stories is I like the family element. So that's primarily why I'm actually writing these family stories, really. So that's me in a quick nutshell. Previous military, data analytics is my trade. So that's what I do for a living. And I try to bring some detail to my writing as well. So that's me in a quick nutshell.
Okay. What brought you to vampires? You said it wasn't your cup of tea, but...
Oh, gosh, no. So one of my hobbies is I'm a computer gamer. And I played a game called Skyrim. And I
love that game.
Oh, yeah. So the best NPC is Serana. And I was kind of taken aback by the character because it's well written. It's great dialogue, and she's easily the best character in the game. And I hated vampires previous to that. I thought they were tropes and horror, just really silly things I found no interest in. And she was very interesting. So I think that just kind of mulled around in my head, and I decided, well, I want to write a story that's interesting in that vein. And what I find compelling about Serana is immortality, not fangs or blood, but immortality. What would a normal person be like? Because she's very normal-esque in the way that she's portrayed. What would a normal person be like if they were thrust into immortality and have certain abilities? So that's where that whole series started, really.
Interesting. Is it written in current day, or is it?
So I actually when I started writing about 3 years ago, I started basically with a series that's a little bit in the future, like a few years, and I wrote 10 books as manuscripts. And when I started writing for publishing, I basically picked up where I left off. So I started writing another set. So it's set into 2059. So just a little bit in the future, but it's still it's not that different future. Pretty current standard future.
Got you. Go ahead, Jen. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. So your vampires, I'm assuming, are bad guys. They don't glitter.
They don't glitter. No, so the purpose of my vampires is kind of like this. It's a small town in Texas. The entire town is either vampiric or it's related to them in some way. So it's a garden essentially for them to reproduce, for them to live and to live normal lives. So the clans that live there don't want to be found. They don't want to be known. They just want to live normally. And so these are normal-esque people who are trying to live with abnormal lives, abnormal abilities. So it's kind of like
an interesting angle. I like that.
So imagine your grandmother is she likes to bake cake, she goes to church, she's really sweet, but she's 1,200 years old. And she's lived every possible life that she could live. That's just her life now. But 800 years ago, she was doing something very different. So that kind of thing.
Interesting. Yeah.
You could write a lot of history.
Yeah, you could create a lot of. Well, I mean, it's in the future, so our day and age would be history.
Mm-hmm. So I went to college for history. I studied military history in college, and so one of my biggest loves is history. So I try to blend a lot of historical figures, a lot of historical moments with these characters. These are characters who've been Roman centurions. They've been, one character was, a lover of Napoleon. People who've had either direct access to history or who've been players in it. So I love interweaving like history with the future as well. I think that's just that gets my warm heart going, is the history.
So is there any historical era that you really just enjoy and you just keep wanting to go back to it?
I don't know. I try to keep all my characters focused on the future. So, but there is I separate my clans in different themes. So my Aqua clan is all focused on creating families, and they're kind of the wholesome vampire clan, where the Gray are more of the genesis of the Spartan culture. So they're a warlike culture. They when I write for the Gray, I'm typically writing Greek history or Middle Eastern history when we're talking about Persia. So then when we're talking about the Gray, so we delve into a lot of that.
So them being very reclusive, do they go and like sneak into villages and drink humans' bloods, or do they donated blood or animals? Or
that's one of the things I hate about vampires. So one of the things that I did was I decided that the vampire myth that we see in movies is one clan. So that's one clan of a bigger race. So the other races feed differently. They have different ways of feeding. They have different purposes. There's one clan that feeds on other vampires, so they're prey. So vampires are prey to other vampires.
Interesting.
So they're more diverse. And I also decided that at the time of the start of these books, that vampirism was basically on the decline. So there's very, very few left. Many of the clans have went extinct. So that's what the purpose of Medford is. It's a garden for them to keep their race alive. So
kind of like that sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was going to say, you said you created, but how much of it was your characters just sort of taking the wheel and going on their own journey? And then you said you were along for the ride.
I'm along for the ride just like everybody else. I'm wanting to know what's going to happen in the next book as much as anybody else. My wife laughs at me incessantly because she's like, well, you wrote the series. You know what's going to happen. I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
So it's definitely along for the ride with these books.
Nice.
Now, you talked about the one clan. Is there still like a good section and a bad section? I mean,
oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I decided the way that I wanted each clan to represent like a point on a moral compass. So what I did was each clan has a call, which is basically almost an uncontrollable urge to do something. They're drawn uncontrollably to do something. With the Aqua, which is usually what I focus on a lot in the series, which the first two books here are both Aqua books. They're focused on building big families, large insular families that are really tight. They're all focused on they're the lovey-dovey, gooey, loving vampires. So they're one way. They're kind of hated by the other clans. The Gray are more warlike, and there's a lot more politics going on with the Gray. There's a lot more backstabbing, power grabbing, more interest in the acquisition of things and abilities than, say, with the Aqua, which is basically one big family. And then with the other clans, there are other elements. I have one clan that doesn't feed on humanity. They're all parasites, but the Emerald are a clan that feeds off nature. They're also healers. So, people who read the books always love the Emeralds because the idea is that you could regenerate yourself, stay young by yourself, control your body and heal your body through your abilities. But each clan has positives and negatives, so they're offset. So they have their own massive negatives.
So when you started writing, were your thoughts well, other people have written vampire books. I don't think that there's any original tropes out there, but you're writing it from a different angle. And, everybody focuses on those different things. It sounds like you focused on something that was more clan-based, more character development, more ingrained history.
Yeah, the driving force behind the series really is, what would immortality do to you and me? What would it do to my neighbor to my cousin Larry? What would it do to the barber? How would you function after 4,000 years? Would you still
get bored?
I mean, like, you would have done everything. You would have seen everything. So imagine. So what I find intellectually interesting is, how does that affect a human being? I know in my 50s, I view life very different than I viewed him in my 20s. And so that's the amazing part is imagine if I still had a young body, the old person's trope. What if I had a young body, but I had my experience, and what would I do with it? That's the driving force behind the series. I've reached middle age, so I now have a body that doesn't work half the time. So it's what would it be like if it did? So, but at least I try to make it as realistic as possible. I want real characters dealing with abnormal, unusual things, but I want them to be real. I want you to see your neighbor in those characters.
So, even though we're writing this, at what point does it shift from being our story to being we're writing for a reader?
Oh, I don't know if I have enough readers I can answer that question. I know that it definitely shifts from being, hey, this is my idea and this is a cool concept that came. Let's see what happens with this, to being a life of its own. Like, I have family members, my wife, my daughter, who are just like, you cannot touch that character. That's a special character. I love them together. They're a couple. You're not going to mess with that. There's definitely an element when the audience gets the pitchforks out and says, no, you're not going to mess with Nancy. You're not going to mess with, Bert. You're not going to mess with Lily. It's like, okay.
We're going to come after you with pitchforks.
Nice. I know. I had to kill off a character in one of my books, and every person all of my friends and family who I gave it to, they'd all call me back. Why did you do that? And I'm like, I needed to. It was a plot point. It was to push my character. It was necessary. Yeah, exactly. There's always, it was necessary. And as much as I tried not to, I couldn't help it. This stupid character kept walking into danger. So
I kind of see books like pool balls on a pool table. And when I inject an action or an event, is the pool cue going into the playing field and hitting the balls. Yep. So and then I'm watching to see, well, how do they interact? What does that motion generate? How does it create? And so you just come up with ideas, you write them, and you see how they play out. And sometimes you're like, holy crap, the only thing I'm left, I have to kill this guy. I can't get out of this. Like, I've set it in motion. There's no way out for them. So sometimes you do have to kill them. And sometimes I'm like, there's been a character or two, my wife's like, it's about time.
And you know what I mean? Even as well as readers, they mourn the loss of a character, but as writers, we're also mourning them too. Oh yeah. When I wrote the first 10 books of the series as a test, I wanted to see if I could write. And I wrote those 10 books, and when I put them away and I said, okay, we're done. This experiment's over. We're done. We're moving on. I want to do something else. Yeah, no. I couldn't put them away. They called you back. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because you're putting, do you find that you're writing not necessarily a character that's you, but parts of you in every character?
I try never to write me, but there's one character I wrote that I'm like, okay, I'm going to get some inner therapy in, and I'm going to make this character have some of my neuroses, and I let that kind of drive that character. So that was fun, and also, of course, my wife saw it immediately. She's like, "Oh, that's you." But like, it's a fun thing to do. I try to keep, just for other purposes. I don't want my friends and family to go, "Why did you write about me?" But so I try never to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's, there's people that you meet in life, and something about their personality sticks out to you, and you can't help, I think, sometimes putting that into a character, not necessarily them, but some element of them.
Oh yeah.
Because it sits in your brain.
Working in corporate America is an amazing place to observe human behavior. It's a great. I get to see all the generations interact, and I get to watch them in situations where, things are not pleasant sometimes, and so it's a great character study. I didn't realize I was doing it for 30 years, but I was.
Hospitals are a good place to see people at their worst and to try to help them, as well. So I get where you're coming from.
Now, when they've lived all this time, do they change? Like you were talking about, one, could be the barber, could be do they change careers? How do they keep from getting to where nobody knows? How do you, that would, to me, seem like that would be hard.
I would say, admittedly, I kind of gloss over a little bit of the stealthiness of trying to stay hidden. I have one character I will freely admit there's no way this character could be realistic, because they've been in the same town overlording it for 300 years. It was just with the same name. It's not happening. But
there's going like a 50-year sabbatical every now and then.
The official rules of the town was that you can stay as long as you don't break the rules. As long as you follow the rules of the covenant of the town, you can stay and create your family. But if you violate those, you can pay with your life. In the case of what you just stated, I think that it would be a lot easier to do if this was the 19th century. But in the 21st century, I think they had some serious challenges, and that's why I had to inject some government involvement into the series as well, both in the original manuscripts and the current series. And I'll get more into that in future books. But right now, it's just been a little touch here, a little touch there.
It could work.
That's an interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting angle. I hadn't thought about that. Do you find that your books work, like writing kind of helps you to escape? It's kind of like your sanctuary, almost therapeutic in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so in my other hobby, which is games, or I mostly play role-playing games. So I'm well akin to escapism. I would say that definitely they do. I would say that because it's my world, I get to play in it. Although a lot of times, quite frankly, I feel like I said before, I feel like I'm an observer. So in some of the stories, like there's been a couple of stories where I'm like, I don't like where this is going. Like I don't like I like that character. I don't want them to die, or I don't want them to go through this pain. But like you do have to follow the story where it goes, and sometimes I feel kind of shackled to the story sometimes.
Yes, like I experience that too when I'm writing. It's I always tell people it's like I see it as a movie in my head, and I'm just writing down what I see. And then I've told this story before, but a lot of times I'll get to a point where I don't know what's happened. I don't know what's going to happen. I've set it up. My characters are here. And then I'm like, wow, I didn't know that was going to happen. It'll take me off on a train. If I don't like where it goes, I can rewind and it goes on a different track.
I've almost given up trying to plan books because it's like I literally planned, right, okay, I'm going to write this military thriller book. And it's going to take place in Greece. And I'm going to try to be Tom Clancy. And no. Like I got about halfway through that book, and the book took a left turn and kept going in Albuquerque. It became something totally different, and that's just because I'm following the story where it's going.
Interesting. Just ignore the chat over there. We've probably got another show watching this, which is cool. Thank you. Welcome. Everybody hit that thumbs up button, please, and subscribe too while you're here. Somebody wants me to flash him. You don't want me to flash him. Trust me. So one of the things about vampires is they do go back for so long. And like I was saying, you got to try and change careers or change something. But at some point, like you said, they got to get bored. I mean, they got to be like, okay, we've got to fly to France and punch somebody in the throat or something. So.
Start some crap.
And I had a character I wrote in one of the previous books who had went very far in their career in the 19th century. They were a lawyer. They got into be a judge, and even sat in the Supreme Court. And when that life ended and they went to the next life, by the time that we meet them in the 21st century, they're a plumber. And it's absurd, but at the same token, that for that particular person, that was a life that had a very long time ago. And they've had several careers since then. So it's not abnormal to them, but it is to us when we view it, because we're like, well, why would you be this and then be that? But for them, it's not the same. It's not the same standard.
Can you imagine how many books you'd be able to write if you were immortal? Sorry, that thought just popped into my head.
That's scary. Oh, there'd be too many books in the Medford series. It'd be way too big.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of paper.
I will take the self-healing and staying young part. That's okay. But
yeah.
But yeah, no.
So I was curious because you could have created characters, not necessarily use vampires, but you could have created any character, like a fantasy type character or whatever, and they could just be immortal. What was it about actual vampires? Was it because of their more darker side, their more secretive nature that kind of helped to decide?
So the very, very, very first premise I had for the series, so basically the original nugget, was I had a guy who's in the service. He's coming home from his service. He's coming back to his hometown that he doesn't want to come back to because he has problems, and he doesn't realize what he really is. He's not been told. He doesn't know he is immortal. He doesn't realize that he has this problem. He knows he's abnormal. He knows he has issues. He doesn't know what he is. And that's what drew me in. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I totally want to go with that and go on his voyage of discovery. Like, his mom doesn't tell him what he really is. And he comes home and finds it in the worst way possible. So that's what drew me into the whole vampirism part, was I can go dark if I want to go dark. I can stay light if I want to stay light, which I definitely want to stay light. I don't like the dark vampire stories. I feel like if you get a character who is just so dark that they're just about killing and death, then that's not sustainable for me as a writer. I think that's a tone, that's a moment, but that's not a character itself. Like that's a part of a person. A human being can be both truly evil and be good. It's what they choose today to be. So I wanted to display that with my characters and have wide-ranging moral compasses. And so vampires let me do that.
Okay.
You said superpowers. What kind of superpowers do they have?
So in the case of the emeralds, they can they're healers. So they can look inside the body and see issues. So they can affect their own bodies. They can change their age. They can change their hair color. They can change their body shape, size. For the aqua, they live in a mental world, so they can link with you and share their memory. So it's like being virtual VR, but from a parasite. So you can live in a memory with their ability, but you can also kill that way. And then that also is part of the intimacy of their clan, of how, when they mate, that's part of the process of merging two individuals. So they have very long-lasting relationships, but they're also the weakest of all the clans, the weakest in the abilities and the weakest in the least liked of clans. So they're more hunted, they have more problems, but they're more insular, and they're the friendly, happy vampires.
Now, you were saying he came home and found out his powers. So they're not bored and automatically know their powers?
No, I when they're born, so there's I think we're up to like 15 books in the series, so only 4 have been published. But essentially, most of them come to it through their parentage, so that they inherit it from their mom and dad, but they don't really obtain their abilities until their adolescence. So 16, 17, 18, maybe even into the late 20s and 30s, even for some, when those things will start to manifest. So for a lot of them, it's an adult life type of discovery.
So is it guaranteed that whatever abilities their parents have, that they will inherit those, or is there any cross abilities and they have to leave their clan?
Oh, I create all kinds of layers to that one. Essentially, there are what I call founders. That's the original vampires that were created 4,000 years ago. So they're on the tiers of power. They're pretty high on that list. And then from there, it's basically 14 families from one village all become vampires, and then that's it. So from then, it's essentially I inherit it from mom and dad type of thing.
Okay.
When we get to the books, mostly it's gone. Mostly there's been so many years of breeding that the powers are declining. People, most people never become vampires, so they'll have 3 generations of kids and none of them become vampires. So it's getting very rare. And then when we get to the point of the books, we discover how that's going to change. By the time we get to the published books, there's a lot more of them, and they're a lot easier for them to be created in multiple ways.
So how in your story, so like if we look at the lore of how vampires are created, do you stick with the lore on that, or do you have a different method?
I went with a kind of what some might call cheesy. I decided that there was a village in Mesopotamia that had been decimated, and there was 14 families left in this village, and some travelers came they were passing through Nineveh and passing past them, and they stopped and they were fed and they were cared for. So as a thanks, they were given this gift. In reality, these visitors are aliens, and their purpose on Earth is to think of them as researchers. They're there to observe humanity, to see, well, what would make humanity better? I think humanity better this way or that way or this way. And each one of these visitors has taken a family as their own and basically imprinted on them what they think will make humanity better. So in the case of the gray, it's making them superior warriors. In the case of the aqua, I think it would be to make them superior families, like more stronger families that stay together better, that kind of thing. So each of the 14 points are 14 different concepts the aliens had for how to make humanity better. And so we still have the aliens in the current books. Yeah, they're still there.
Oh, okay. So do they, along with establishing these different clans, I suppose, do they also have their own traditions and belief systems?
Very much so.
Cool.
So yeah, and so some are religious, some are not. And some of the I call them visitors. Some of the visitors are very active, some of them are not. So I vary it based upon how I see that particular visitor and the purpose for that visitor.
And the visitors are the ones that established them
4,000 years ago. Oh. Mostly it's a competition between themselves. I think I know how to solve humanity's problems. Here's how I think we should do it. And they're long-lived life forms. They're seeing what happens over thousands of years.
So would you classify your series as more sci-fi, more fantasy, or what genre? Because it sounds like it's a bunch of a lot of different genres.
I try to stay away from the alien part as much as possible. I want the reader to see the aliens mostly just as family, which is after 4,000 years they really are. So I want them to kind of like almost forget that they're aliens a little bit. But I would say it's definitely fantasy. And honestly, some of my characters don't even like being called vampires. They like being called immortals. And it's just because I'm trying to show the diversity of thought. Some people are going to embrace that lifestyle. And I have a former pharaoh who's very feared and hated in the community, but she's went through a lot of life, 4,000 years of life. she's a founder, and so she is, she's hated, she's reviled, she's respected, and essentially, yeah. So just a lot of, I would say, a big world full of lore, huge world of lore.
You said something earlier that scared me. Till death do you part. That's a long time if you're a vampire. I love Mrs. Sportcat. Don't get me wrong, but 2,000 years? No. I'd definitely be throat punched. So,
but that's a great point, because it brings out the better question of immortality. We look at life as a 40, 60-year process. They're looking at it in hundreds, if not thousands of years. So for some of these clans, like the Emeralds, they're just like, there's no way we're staying together that long. So it's all very temporary. Everything's temporary to them. Where the Aqua are like, nope, we're life partners. That's 4,000 years or 40 years or 4 years. We're life partners. So I
wonder if do they have like really long engagements just to make sure that they're definitely want to stay with this person?
No, the ones that in Sons and Daughters, we kind of see teen courtship a little bit. We see young vampires figuring out what they're doing. And I think it evolves pretty much the same way for them, but we're talking about people who live for thousands of years. So this is a cycle they may go through dozens and dozens and dozens of times, because they're going to lose people normally. They're going to have war, famine, disease, all kinds of things that will take people out. So they might go through 7, 10, 15, 20 partners. In a lifetime. If you're living for 4,000 years, you're going to have children you can't remember. Because
imagine how many children they'd have. Yeah.
And what kind
and then would their children be immortal? So
imagine for a moment you have, I have a character who's Nancy. She's from 1066. So she was a human in and around that time frame. And she's still alive. And she has a daughter who's basically my age. From my time period. I was born in the 70s. So she's born in the 70s. And her daughter is her daughter's now, when the book takes place, is in her 40s. So that brings a great question. What kind of relationship were you going to have if you are 1,000 years old and you've got 100 lines of grandkids, like your great grandchild who's living while you're living? Are you going to have a relationship with them? Are you going to know them? Are you going to care?
And
just all kinds.
And you
of
said that. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and then you said some of the kids that are born are not immortal. So then you would see them grow and eventually pass.
Yes. And so like with the Aqua, when the books start, there was at one point we only had 2 or 3 existing. So it's basically Nancy and what is her granddaughter, essentially. And we see that clan grow out and get bigger. But yeah, you could literally be 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years old. The places that you can go in this is just endless for me as a writer. So I find that fun.
Yeah. So would they live literally forever? Like 5 billion years, they say the sun's going to turn into a red giant and swallow our planet.
I find the term immortal for these characters to be kind of like in quotes. So like in the case, so like if aliens allowed this to happen to help create this, they're going to have limits too. So they're not perfect. So they could, through their abilities and their knowledge, they're extending human life, but that has limits. So for the founders, when we start with this series, basically we're the founders are ending the end of their life. So they're promised 4,000 years. Most of them are gone. There's only just a few left. So those founders are at the end of their days. And we now see that second and third and fourth generations that are in a different place.
Okay, so immortal has its limits.
Yeah, it's immortal from our perspective, from a human perspective, but from an alien perspective that lives millions of years versus, say, this vampire race that lives for 4,000 years. The aliens wouldn't call it immortal, but if for a human who lives 30 to 60 to 70, yeah, it's immortal.
There's a lot you can do in 4,000 years.
Oh yeah, and screw up.
Do Do they look at the aliens like gods?
No, and I want to make that very clear, from both sides of that coin. I think they would be easy to do that, especially in different eras. But the aliens in my books basically believe in a certain level of separation. So up until recently, they've not been interacting, and so they kind of like think of the first 4,000 years as a testing period. That testing period is over, so they're starting a new one. So now we're in that period where they're interacting a lot, but they're going to go away again to see how their changes take effect. They're making some adjustments. How did that work out? Let's see what happens.
Interesting. Did they stay gone for the entire 4,000 year period, or did they?
They had, well, and it depends on the visitor. It depends on which ones are staying by the rules and which ones are breaking them. I had one visitor who basically went native and decided that no, this is where they're going to hang out permanently. And so they're doing what they want to do, how they want to do it. I have another visitor who's basically, I see them as kind of like a mental rule breaker who, if there's a rule that they haven't broken, then they're not trying hard enough. So they're gonna break every rule they possibly can to have fun. They're kind of like basically an evil genie, I think is how I described her. Because she wants to see how bad things can get and how much she can screw up. And then there's more, really, hard button characters who are visitors who are trying to do their thing.
Do you have any characters that you really either just really love and that you can empathize with them, or do you have some that you just really hate and you wish you could kill them off, but you just can't yet? Like, it's just not working out.
I've had both. I had a character I wrote that I really loved. Her name was Anne, and I had intended, okay, Anne's going to be the adult in the room for a male character. They're going to hook up, and it's going to be great. And my wife is reading the book, and she's like, I can't stand Anne. What are you telling her? And it's just like, okay, well, I guess I'm rethinking that one. So I've had to kill characters I liked, but yeah, there's characters that I won't touch. Nancy is one of those characters. I love her too much. I love what she represents, and she's kind of like the grand old lady of Medford. So she set it up. She's the genesis of this whole town. So she's kind of the grand old lady. She's the person people both fear, respect, and admire a little bit. And she's no longer leading her clan. She's now kind of in the sideline. So I see her as retired and doing her thing, but she's still going to live for thousands of more years. But so yeah, I can't touch Nancy.
I like that. Chris says, being on that topic, would vampires have their own 401k type alternatives and options since their investing timelines are extremely long?
So
That's a good question.
One of the points on the compass I wanted to cover was I wanted a clan to be very materialistic, so I created a clan that did that. But I also have a clan, the Ruby clan. And so each clan's modeled on a gemstone. So that's why you have Aqua and you have Ruby. And Rubies are outgoing, personable. Think of your politicians, your used car salesman types. They run a bank in Medford. And so they're helping to recycle lives' money. So as a vampire, in my thinking was they're basically running a system where they have to give to the kitty so much money in their lifetime so that when they end their official life and that name and that existence and they roll it over, that bank helps them kind of essentially launder that money into that and into that new life. So yeah, it's kind of like a vampire 401k of essentially how do I take this life's money and roll it over into my next one.
Would they also make a fortune on like antique sales?
I suppose that's possible. I think one of the things that makes the series interesting is that each of these clans has their own interests and their own desires, and politics comes into play a lot. So if you were the Ruby clan and you're the used car salesman group and you're the politician group and your call was to be personable and to be talkative, as an introvert, that ain't me. But that's what this clan's all about. So that's great, and they're running the money, but what happens when they clash issues with one of the other 14 clans? So, like, if they're running the money, and if they're the mayor, and they're this and they're that, what happens next. So that gives me a great foil for like different issues in the books.
It's one of the claims, like, want to go in and just be like Americans, just want to blow everything up. I mean,
I had a book where I figured out that it's because where the again, like what you said, where the books went. So I had a book where the government came in and said, "Oh, so I see what we have here," and discovers their abilities and what they're doing, and basically puts them in prison camps essentially, and wants to use them for what's happening. And I had a devil's time trying to figure out how to get them out of that, because I wanted them, after writing I think 3 or 4 of my manuscripts about that, I'm like, I'm done. We got to get them out of this so I can write normal stories again. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many angles that after writing those 10 initial books to build the lore, I sometimes get lost in that lore, and sometimes I struggle with the new books. I struggle. Okay, I've got this, all this history that's happened, trying to tell that through a book where people are like, I haven't read any of that stuff. What the heck are you talking about? So sometimes I get a little ahead of myself.
Do you find that it's more important to have emotional connections with the characters, or do you put a lot of details and think more logically in your plots and your character developments?
I wish I said I was a great planner. I find that my stories just come to me. So like I'll be laying in bed or I'll be taking a shower, and it just hits me. A whole stream of thing will hit me, and I go, oh my gosh, that's exactly how that would play out, and that gives me a chapter. And so I go write that chapter, and then that begets another chapter, and then that begets another chapter, and then I have another inspiration, and then I'll hit some sort of deadlock where I wait 2 weeks where I'm doing normal things, I'm not writing, waiting for the next thing to kind of hit me to help me understand, well, which way do we turn next? Do we turn left here? Do we turn right here? What are we doing? So I wish I said I was a planner and had these things all planned out. I don't. I usually change the name of my book 4 times during its creation because it's taken 4 different directions in writing.
I don't tend to put titles on my books until the end, just because of that very reason, because titles are important. They draw the reader in. They sometimes they're meant to sum up what's happening, but if you don't know what's happening and your characters haven't decided it yet, so it's kind of hard to name it. So I usually, for myself, I wait till the end, but I've known other people that have started with the title.
I start with one, but I always know it's never going to make it probably to the midway point of the book, because it'll just change. I don't think any of my titles have gone from the start to the end. I don't think any of them have. Maybe Ame might have, because that one started with a purpose, and that's a story about motherhood. So that one probably started from the beginning to end. It's probably the only one that ever will be.
When you wrote your rough drafts, because I know I did this, the first book in my series, the rough draft wasn't anything like the story at all. It was completely different thought, idea, plot, everything. And then it just sort of wove as I did rewrites and stuff into what it is now.
KSAB had that. I mean, I pretty much, I kind of see him as building a house. You dig the basement, and then you build it all out. So like I can't say I've ever like built half the house and decided to make it a trailer. I mean, that doesn't happen. But like by the time I'm writing the ending, it's strictly it's pretty much just what pieces am I going to remove that are too much? Like, because I get too wordy. So
yeah, I think
like Insidious, I have probably 30, 40 pages that need to come out of that before it's ready for publish. But like being a different book, no.
Chris asks, have you ever had a title? I guess for both of you, actually. Have you ever had a title you didn't use at first, but liked it so much that it got used in another book or sparked an idea to implement it?
I have been trying to write Mountains and Valleys 4 times. I had Mountains and Valleys both as a name and as an idea, and that was supposed to be after Sons and Daughters. There have now been 3, 4 books written, and I just started a 5th, and I'm still not there. So yes, that definitely happens. And at some point I'll get to Mountains. And my wife has even done the artwork for that book. Nice. And so I better still call that one Mountains and Valleys, or I might have someone to answer to. Yes, definitely.
Jen, I think he was asking both.
Okay. Well, when I was thinking of titles for my 4th book, before because that was a difficult one. I knew what the artwork needed to look like, but I didn't have a title for it. I come up with 2 titles that I really liked, and I went with one of them, but I'm saving the other one for the 5th book.
I like it. Now, you talk a lot about you're not a planner, but do you have like an encyclopedia somewhere where you can keep up with all the characters? Because gosh, that has to be
Excel
huge.
is my friend. I started an Excel spreadsheet several years ago, and it's become a database at this point.
Okay.
Thousands of characters. And I have to refer to it all the time.
Not bad. Yeah. I had an author turn me on to, was it Google LM? Was that it, Jen? You basically you just create a folder and you upload all of your books in your case. And then if you go, hey, did Martha do this back in blah, blah, blah? AI will go and it'll come back and go, boom. Yeah, she did do that. Or no, she didn't.
I have to use that. That would be amazing. That would save me so much time.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go check that out. I wrote it down. I'm like, I'm going to check that out. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's called Google.
I mean, for the most part, my characters live rent free in my head, but there's details like what is the spelling of that town that they went to? And I'll have to go to my physical book and go looking through. I'm like, I know approximately where it is, and then find it. And then I use a highlighter so I don't, forget it.
In my case, where I have family, so I have this person's related to this person's related to this person. I don't remember that always off the top of my head. I almost need a family tree. Like, okay,
yes,
they're related again. They're okay. This person, just how this is connected. So, yeah, I could probably use that.
Do you have any like family tree like map? Like, have you considered putting that into your books? What do they call that? That genealogy tree?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have. So I had a brother-in-law who's just like, dude, I need a roadmap here for this thing because you got characters. This person's connected to here. I need to know who this family is because like I can't tell like heads or tails of is this the mom, is this the grandmother? Because they're all physically the same age. So like most of them are rocking 20-year-old bodies, but they're 100 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old, 1,000 years old, 4,000 years old. So you can't use the description to tell you how old a person is. So yeah, I actually drew up a family tree for one of the books. I'm going to do a revision on some of these to add artwork and to add a family tree into one of them.
It's called Notebook LM, and it's a Google product. Notebook LM.
Notebook LN. I'm going to write that down.
Sadly enough, I use it for sports. Well, I've got my book in there, but I dump all of the like 2026 baseball season times when they're playing and stuff, and I just ask AI. I don't know. Sorry, I digress. I'll shut up.
I think it's a great idea. I'm gonna have to look into that because I could definitely use it.
Yeah, he turned me onto it, and I think he'd written like 5 or 6, and he's like, yeah, I couldn't remember all this. He's like, it's perfect. He said, put it in a PDF file and you just go in and if you're like the real nerd like me, it will actually generate a podcast about whatever you put in.
Audio podcast? How does that work?
It makes a live show, well, not a live show, but it makes an audio file that you can use. It's an AI voice, and it sounds just like 2 people talking, just like us, the 3 of us talking. It's the craziest thing. Yeah, I did it on sports, and the man and woman were arguing about which team to like. He says, Chris says, I'm waiting to have Jen to have a book titled Insane Ramblings of Chris and What Has Glenn Gotten Me Into? It's probably true. So, just guilt by association at this point. Sean, do they ever convert anyone, or is that taboo?
So yes, one of the more evil clans that I created was the Obsidians, and one of their so I patterned them off of a North American bird called a cowbird, and cowbirds don't raise their young. They lay their eggs in other birds' nests so that those birds will raise the young, and when they hatch, they basically will starve out the other birds. So they're parasitic to another level. So I decided that that's what these vampires do. They infect another clan's children and use them to make them obsidian, essentially. So yes, there is a little bit of that going on, and that's kind of the whole point of Insidious, is the insidious nature.
Good fitting name.
Do they get, like, I'll use the word civilians, somebody outside the clan? Do they ever bring anybody, like, okay, or like President Trump, we want to make him a vampire? God forbid. How would you go about doing that? I mean, do they go tell them, hey, I'm going to make you live forever, or do they go, gotcha?
Well, in Hope's Choice, I introduced readers to the whole series by a woman is in a relationship with one of the Aquas, does not know anything about what they are, and they basically go to Medford to kind of. She knows he's keeping secrets from her, so she goes to Medford to kind of figure out what is his deal, and that's when she goes to her interview, where she's interviewed by the family for her, the prospect of her joining the family. And so that book is about her choice of, do I go with these weirdos, or do I go back to my normal life? And so that's what that whole book's about. And so yes, they definitely do. It depends on the clan and how some of them have, again, different points on a compass. So some of those clans are very insular. They don't like matching between other clans. They don't like that. Some of them are like, we don't care. Some of them don't even want to take mates that are other vampires. They believe that's just not, that doesn't work. Like, for the reasons that you pointed out. I mean, do you really want to be married to this person for 4,000 years? And so they would take, some of the clans have what I call thralls, which are people that they control. So in some cases they would use a thrall. In some cases they would have a normal relationship with a normal human. So most of the town falls in one of two brackets. They fall into the vampire bracket, or they're humans who know about what's going on, but because they're basically family members of other clans. So they know what's going on, but they'll keep the secret for the purposes of the family.
And you said that the immortality doesn't start until like it becomes active at a certain point.
The way it works is most of them don't become until they're an adult. So then they'll inherit their abilities. So like then they'll become stronger physically. They will. There's a whole gimmick with the eyes and being able to see different colors and understand that's an aqua, that's a ruby, that's a this, just by looking at the eyes and seeing that color reflected from their signet.
Okay.
But those things don't manifest until they're adults. And while depending on their distance from a founder, so like if I have a person who is, the founder is their great, 25 greats between them and the founder, and there's so many humans in between that, then that genetic pool has been diluted so much that person might only live for 300 years or 250 years. So they're not immortal-isk, and they're weaker vampires. But then we have also ones who are much stronger because they're either founders themselves or the children of founders.
The reason I was asking is because you said that they don't age. I can't imagine I can't imagine a toddler being immortal.
Oh yeah, no, like so the way and it varies by clan. There's a bunch of diversity in how the clans age and how they manage their age. But your typical Medford vampire ages like everybody else. The difference is when they hit puberty or when they hit adulthood, they're going to gain some abilities. And when they hit about 50 or 60, the urge to revert will take place, where they need to take a life. And that's that's how they revert. So if they take another life, they can revert back to a younger age. So different clans have different rules. So like the Emeralds don't need any of that. The Emeralds can simply just essentially stay young forever. But the Aquas can. The Aquas need to take a life when they hit 60 or 65. So they're all covered in blood in one way or another, but it's just different and it varies. So they all age except for the Emeralds. But they could also, if they want to be 65 today, the Emeralds can be 65. If they want to be 35 today, they can be 35. So they're my odd ducks of my pond.
So if you were born into one clan and you really didn't like them, can you cross and just like say, I want to be part, I feel like I should have been born into this clan? Can you switch clans?
Generally, no, but I have one case of that. But they need the help of a founder or a visitor to be able to do that. So that's something outside the vampire's capability. So I have an emerald who wanted to have a real, like, long-lasting relationship and doesn't believe in the temporary emerald types of relationships. And she falls in love with an aqua. So she wants clans.
Is there a hopping on point? I mean, or is each book kind of independent, or how does that?
No, the Hope's Choice is the first book in the series. So for a new reader, you need to start with Hope's Choice. They're progressive. You should read them in the order they are. They are a little wonky in that we do 2 books that are, book 1 covers Hope and covers introducing you to the world of Medford. Book 2 is kind of like her coming out party. And then book 3, we go back in time. So book 3, we're going to go back to before Hope arrives, and we're going to start following the Grey Clan for a couple of books. So we go back to the past. We kind of see some things that happened that we didn't see in Hope's Choice to get more clarity about what's going on in Medford. And then for book 5, we go to the Emeralds with Insidious, and we kind of come back to the current timeline.
Okay. How far apart are them? Because I can't imagine, like, if their generation, like if their offspring live for like hundreds to thousands of years, then they'd have to take up a lot of space for living area and stuff. Are they fairly spread out?
They're starting to become so, because again, when my manuscripts started, they were a dying race. So there were not many of them at all. There was just dozens of them when we get to the start. Now when we get to this series, there's hundreds of them. So Medford's starting to get a little crowded, and some people are leaving and moving on. So I do have some books that take place outside of Medford.
Okay.
But yes. So, but when the series first started, it was basically just a small handful of survivors.
If somebody in, like, let's say our Australian audience wants to get your stuff, is it on Amazon? Where can they get your stuff? And also, how can, if anybody wanted to get in touch with you, what's a good way to get in touch with you? If you like that kind of thing. Some people don't.
I mean, I would love feedback, honestly. So my only place to buy books is Amazon. So if you look up my name, Shawn McDonie, on Amazon, you should find my series pretty easily. I'm also on Facebook. So if you wanted to come, I'm pretty regularly talking out there. So if you want to ask me a question, or if you want to contact me, tell me how silly these vampires are, I'd be more than happy to listen. And I'd love feedback. Even if you hate the series and you think it's complete garbage, I'd love to know why. Because that helps me write better books. I'm sure Medford's not the last series I will write. I will probably write more things, especially when I retire one day. I'm going to want to write other things. So everything helps me learn. This is kind of like my undergrad for writing. I almost think of it as learning how to write, how to tell good stories. So I would love feedback.
Okay, very good. And you said you do have more books coming out, so hopefully Jen wasn't too harsh on you. I told you she was a bad guy.
No, you guys are great.
Yes, I'm terrible. I'm so scary and mean.
She does have the red hair. But Shawn, would you be wanting to ever come back and visit us again and tell us some more about this stuff?
Absolutely. I love my time here. Thank you so much for having me. And I would love to come back.
Okay. Very good. Well, I will put everything in the show notes for everybody who's listening on audio. Probably tomorrow. It's going to be late tonight, but probably tomorrow, and they can get in touch with you and find out all the details. But Shawn, thank you very much. I really appreciate you giving us an hour of your time.
Thank you.
All right. Well, you try and stay warm up there in the cold north. I'm suffering from pollen down here in Atlanta, in Knoxville. So try and stay warm, and we will talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye. I love when we get somebody who's come on and they're like, okay, I don't know. And I always make them like, Jen's the bad guy.
Yes.
No,
I can be a bad guy. I mean, my kids will say I spoil all their fun. So, I mean, I guess apparently I can be a bad guy.
That's mom's job.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, when somebody comes on and they've not done a lot of shows or something, it's really nice to feel like that they had a good time. So and
it's scary too, right? It's scary if you've not done it before, because you're not sure what they're going to ask. You're not sure what to say. You're not sure, how many people are going to be watching you, and but I had so many questions about his stories. Like, they sounded really interesting.
They did. All right. Well, let me push a button to keep us legal in Australia. Everybody stay tuned for hour 2. We've got another great guest coming up. And if you're listening on WZQR or WRFN, thank you very much.
Broadcasting across Australia on Dare Media Group radio stations, this is the Sportcat Show, uncovering secret chapters, strange encounters,
and the occasional technical mishap.
And welcome back, everybody, to hour 2 of the Sportcat Show, formerly known as the Paranormal Guyz. When we were formerly known as the Paranormal Guyz, we had a guest that I think this is going to be her third time coming on. She'll have to correct me. Glenda Benevides. She's a Grammy-nominated singer, and she takes her time to come talk to us. She's got all kinds of works out, Soul on Fire. Let's bring her out here and let her start telling us about herself. Glenda, how are you?
Hey, guys.
Hey, I've missed you.
Aw, they're so sweet. I miss you guys too. It's been fun.
Well, you probably don't know, Jen is one of my new co-hosts.
Yeah.
It seems like everybody goes out after a while and starts their own show and doing their own thing. So maybe I'm training them right. I don't know, or maybe I smell funny.
That silky voice that you have. It makes everybody's like, oh, I got to do this myself.
Yeah, Jen asked me, she goes, do you sit and plan for this? I'm like, no, I kind of just make it up as I go.
It's good. You have a really nice voice. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Your voice is amazing, by the way. So
well, thank you. Thank you so much.
So what have you been up to since we last spoke?
Oh, goodly woodly. I don't know where that came from.
I like that.
I'm going to use. I don't know where that.
I like that.
Where did that come from?
Add an A to the end of it, Jen.
What have I been up to? Oh my God. Well, we did Grammys last year. Getting ready for this following year with some wonderful submissions, and probably, as you guys know, America's we're at our 250th year of being the United States. So we're gonna hang in there and see if we can keep that going. But anyway, this year I wrote a song. Well, actually, I wrote it in 2015, but I just really finished it. Put some focused attention on it this year, and I wrote a song called "I Ride." And what had happened was I was going back and forth to Boston to work with my writing partner Jean, and I hadn't done much research, you guys, and I was like, hey, there's Concord and Lexington, and I should probably check that out. So I would do my day journeys, pop on over, check it out, and went, oh my goodness, the North Bridge. And then you start finding out all this history. And, we've all heard about, Paul Revere's Midnight Ride, well, there's 2 other guys that rode with him. And, they all took separate routes. And I think it was Doss and Prescott. And those 2 guys. And man, I mean, you sit and really think about it, and they really, really, put their lives on the line. I mean, because we were all integrated, we were British. So, there was no American accent, well, just American, it wasn't like that. And it just kind of brings it home. And I thought, oh my goodness, I really want to write something about them and what it took to really take that ride, so anyway, I wrote the song, and it's called I Ride, and we're excited about it. We're working on it as we speak. Got some fabulous hands in the pot right now working with me on it. And we're going to submit it next year for Grammys and release it. And, fingers crossed it'll be able to do some new stuff with it, be represented somehow on 4th of July, I would hope. That's just the intention. So
is that where a lot of your inspiration comes from, is like historical, like meaningful events?
No, not necessarily. Meaningful, yes. Historical, not so much. I was just, I don't know. I think I was so immersed, back in Boston and stuff like that, and the East Coast. And you feel the soil when you're there, and it was just amazing. I had to write it, it was like, these people are really important. Let's really talk about it. And my question to myself was, how do I talk about it in a cool way? Because we are in the 21st century, it's like, who wants to hear about Paul Ride?
Short attention spans.
Right. I think I've got a winner, and I'm really excited about it. And it really, really reflects what we're feeling right now as a country, as humans, and really trying to get back to what does it mean and what does it take to be courageous? What does it take to have clarity, courage, confidence, commitment, and community? Like, what does it take? To really have that, to allow ourselves to stop labeling things, just really if we can just rise above all that. And I think that's kind of what it stands for, inside the story. So yeah, I can't wait to share it with you guys once it's finished. So.
I can't wait either.
Yeah.
How do you get all that in just a short, I want to say a short story, but it is really a short story.
It is. It is. I don't know. I don't know how that happened. Because I was just like, oh my God, how am I going to write this? And sometimes things just come to me. I don't know how it happens. I mean, I'm thinking back now, how did that happen? How did I write that? Lines like, a voice in the darkness, feel the damp river fog, gloom of the light, who will be the first to fall? I don't know. Who will be the first to fall, right? So nice. Blood on your coat, red, blue at your throat. Brothers like dusk, we stand one and all. We all stand one and all. So anyway, it kind of goes like that. I don't know. It just came. I saw the whole battlefield and the whole thing, and the red coats and the blue coats, and that kind of thing. So I don't know. It just happened.
How much of your inspiration, like when you get an idea, how much of it is like spontaneous like that?
Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Like sometimes I go, okay, I'm going to create this song with this intention, or this topic, and then some like that. I was just immersing myself in, the environment, the culture, going through the museums, and just like really being there and going, what did it feel like to be an American back then? Like, or a budding American, someone that's actually wanting, which I think is pretty hilarious. We stop the taxing. we're still taxing, it's like, it's a different king. So anyway, I just thought that would be, I wanted to really elicit that pride and honor from a really positive place, of feeling good about who you are, what you want, and what you're standing for. Hopefully that will inspire people to stand for what's important to them too. I mean, it can be anything. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you worked with any body that you can tell, you may be top secret, to put this all together? I mean, either on instruments or backup or.
Yeah. I was introduced to a woman named Scarlett, who is a violinist, and she got her start with Bob Dylan, and I think she still works with him. So she's on the track, and I was really delightfully surprised, because this is I think it's kind of an interesting story, where I thought, gosh, I need a real violinist, like a human, and I reached out to a buddy of mine. I thought, I'm gonna ask Chris. Chris is down in LA, and Chris is from the British Isles. And I thought, that's kind of spooky, right? American British, right? And then I was like, and then it's like, hey, Chris, do you know of anybody that could play violin? He goes, actually, I do. There's a woman named Scarlett. So I sent Scarlett the song and the information as a demo, and she goes, wow. She sent me right back. She goes, wow. She goes, this is the song of the century. And I was like, oh my God, if she's saying that, I mean, I was just like, I was blown away. Right. So that made me feel so good. So she's done it. And I've got Josh from Nora Jones's camp. He's playing guitar, and that's some fun tidbits there. Fabulous humans.
It's an eclectic group.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Did you feel like the ringleader of all this?
Ringleader. Just the host. Just the host. I'm just hosting the song, it's coming from another place. So, and kind of like, it feels kind of destined or something, we're at 250 and I wasn't even planning that, you guys. I mean, I just wrote it because I was inspired by where I was, and I'm just that kind of person, right? So I wrote it, and we worked on the music over and over, and we just could not get it. Like, we just could not get the music. And so I just put it down until this year. It's crazy. Yeah. And then the music came.
So sometimes you don't have the music because it's not time yet.
Sometimes, yeah, I think so. Sometimes you just, you beat something to death, and you just it's kind of like writing too. It's like you write it, just like let it go.
Like the harder you work, the harder it is to obtain, and then you're just like, you know what, I'm going to relax about it, and then it just comes to you.
Perfect. Exactly.
Yeah.
You just let it go. Calm down. Stop trying to put that round peg in that square hole. Stop it. Stop it.
Take a break and then come back and maybe sand it down.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Right.
Sometimes.
That's so funny, you guys. Oh man.
What else have you been into?
I wrote a show. It's called Soul on Fire. It goes with my book, Soul on Fire. And the show is it's all about, it's an immersive transformational experience. So, you come in, it's music, storytelling, transformation, journaling. We just look at different things. It's kind of like part keynote, part transformational experience, part TED Talk, part concert. So it's weird. It's like this really interesting blend of things that I've pulled together through my life. And it's really, the intention behind it is to really allow people to come and experience music, but also hear stories, like hear storytelling, still listen to the music, interact with each other, write in the journal, because I pose a lot of questions It'll be up on I have video behind me, so there's video, questions, that kind of thing. And it's that type of experience. It's a little different. You're not really just going to a concert, and you're not just really going to a workshop or something. It's this hybrid. Yeah. And I'm excited. I think we're really promoting it for retreats, nonprofit like events, and corporations. So I come in, it's about a 2-hour experience. You come in, you get the whole kit and caboodle, and then walk away enlightened, inspired, and ready for action. So
it's very impactful.
Yeah, I'm really intending that to be. Yes.
How do you balance everything that you do?
What's that? I'm sorry. What did you say?
It sounds like you're always busy. You're always got something else that you're trying to do. How do you balance everything?
I keep a schedule.
Like a block schedule, or
it's my phone. No.
I love it.
Yeah, it's in my calendar. So I have it in such a way that I give myself time, to relax to, or just space out, or eat, or go for, exercise in the morning, that kind of stuff. It's a pretty full day, don't get me wrong. And then there are days you just take off, you have to, nice. you just have that life balance, right? You guys, you just have to, you can't just space out all the time, and you can't just, you've got to honor the creative. As writers and stuff, you guys know that you just have to honor the creative, but at the same time, you have to be a little focused, a little directed. Mm-hmm. I think that's where the freedom really is inside schedule, which is strange.
Yeah. Because even like if something is your passion and you really enjoy it, if you did it all the time, it would overwhelm you and you'd be stressed. And not necessarily that you would not enjoy it anymore, but it would overwhelm you in every aspect of your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And you would just get stagnant, I think, after a while. You'd just be like, okay, whatever. Yeah.
Yes. You need new experiences. Mm-hmm. And I love that you had this experience and you felt this connection. Mm-hmm. I honestly believe that different areas, like if you go to different locations and stuff, every location has its own mood. Mm-hmm. I took a trip, like if you took a trip, like say, for example, I went to San Francisco a couple years ago, and we went to Alcatraz, and the atmosphere there and the experience of just being there, it's completely different experience than I would have had I gone to New York or something.
Completely. Right on. And I live near San Francisco, so I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It was like our first trip without kids. So.
Oh, yay. Freedom.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about anybody eating but yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it.
What do you do in your downtime? What do you do to relax?
Lay down.
Down, literally.
Literally. That's where I was just before I came on the show. Just laying down. Yeah.
The brain's still going.
Yeah, the brain is still going. Or I listen to odd things. I love a variety of things. But one of the things I was listening to was something from Gaia TV. They were talking about aliens and everyone's different, the experts and their different experiences and stuff like that. And they were talking about the what are they called? The mantids and all those different things. I love all that stuff. I just love it.
We're at an age of discovery now, they say. And supposedly the government's going to tell us the truth. I don't believe it.
I don't either. Someone will. Dr. Stephen Greer has told us over and over and over and over. Oh my God. That guy, that's a commitment, man. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Stepping in. That's yeah.
It's, and he's brave too.
He is.
We had a astronaut on a few weeks ago.
Oh, wonderful.
And I asked him, I said, how are you talking about this?
Wow.
And he says, well, I'm out. And if they kill me, that's going to make my story even bigger than it already is.
Totally.
He says, so I don't care.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. And he was telling us some crazy stuff. I was like, holy
wow. Cow. I love it. I love it. See, and those are the guys that you like because they've been there, done that. Like they had a firsthand experience. It's not, so and so. It's like, oh, especially Emery Smith. Are you familiar with Emery Smith? Yeah, I mean, come on, guy worked in all of that. So yeah, amazing. Yeah, I love it.
I hope they release it, but like you, I really doubt they will.
Yeah. Well, the agenda of, we got to start a war, we've got to, and it's going to be aliens. We're all going to come together.
Didn't they
I always just
in the 80s.
So 1984, this world, and it's crazy because really, honestly, and someone else said this too. And this is how I think. It's like, look, if these were destructive beings and their technology and they're far advanced, if they wanted to kill us, it would have just been, they would have let, that's like bringing sticks to a gunfight.
Yeah.
So don't be fooled. That's a lie,
Well, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. That's what I was saying.
I was going to say that there is a lot of things that when I was a kid growing up that we're realizing, they're telling us now that, oh yeah, that was bad. We're not doing that. It just makes you wonder. It's like, how many things are we doing are happening right now that we won't find out about till our kids are in their 40s and 50s,
Right.
So there's probably a lot of things happening right now that are big secrets, but eventually we'll find out.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny how
I
that
had
is.
a friend, he would tell me stories, and he says, I'll tell you more soon, because they apparently put like a 50-year
moratorium or something.
Like what do they call that? An NDA? Is that an NDA?
Non-disclosure moratorium or something like that. Yeah.
The government's a little stricter, and I saw him a while back, and I said, all right, man, I'm ready to beer board you and get the facts. He says, yeah, they found my grandkids. I was like, what? He goes, I had to sign another 50 years to protect my grandkids.
What?
You are shitting me.
Wow.
No, he said they came to my house and said, hey, so your grandkids, they live in Alaska here. You're not talking about much here lately, are you?
Wow.
That's like, damn. So it's scary that the government has that much control.
Yeah.
And I don't know that they would have done anything to his grandkids, but it's funny how they knew everything. It's like they bring in their census and it's like, yeah, Johnny's he got a B in Spanish. I hope he makes it to high school.
I love the new hair color. Stop it.
It's like we were looking through your Google search. Are you looking for a cell phone?
Right.
Don't look through my Google search.
I know people are gonna think, I don't know what people would think if they looked at my Google search, and I'm like, I'm an author. That can that explain a lot of it away?
Right. I'm supposed to do research on weird things, a variety of things, whatever. Yeah.
Like, where is the safest place to stab someone? I am not a murderer. I'm an author. It's research.
What did you get? Alleyway? No. I love it.
Interstate. Nobody's paying
vital organs
in the bathroom. No.
Yeah.
With a candlestick. Sorry, I had to go there.
How about ice?
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
it melts and takes the evidence away.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like how you think. Yeah.
How did that wound get there? I'm not really sure.
Why is it all wet? Where's the blood?
Right.
Where's the weapon? Oh, it's down the drain. You see, author talk.
Author talk.
Yeah. No conspiracy.
No. Creator talk. I guess not just authors, but creators.
Glenda, but you're right. And Jen, you're right. Some of the things we thought about when we were kids, and we were like, oh, you guys are conspiracy theorists. Now we learn they're controlling the weather. They're spraying the skies.
Yeah, I saw it today.
Yeah.
And now they're just like, yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, we're seeding the clouds. What clouds?
What technology do they have that we don't know? I mean, that's the scariest.
Right.
Yeah.
God,
I mean, we could literally go into another country, pick one dude up, and totally lay a complete, I won't say brigade, but a bunch of people out. And we're like, hey, come on, you're going with us. And just zip out. That is crazy. Now, I mean, granted, that country's technology probably wasn't as great as if they come into Washington, D.C., but it's pretty, that's a good thing on your resume if you're the military.
Right.
That should put all
there's a lot of stuff they couldn't put on their resumes, though. Oh, yeah. It's like, darn, I did this great thing, but I can't tell anybody.
Exactly. Isn't that the way it is?
That is the one cool thing about our president. If they tell him something top secret, he's probably going to tell it. I'm not supposed to tell you this.
Or they, you're not, there's a need to know. You're not read in, so they don't care.
Yep.
What did they tell? I think they told all the other presidents there's no need to know. So they, it's especially if it's private contracting, everything is black, then that government is different than this, so
don't ask questions about
you'll be gone in 4 years anyway. So we're here for life.
Exactly. Don't ask questions about things you don't need to know. So
that's right.
Yes.
It. They say that. It.
Oh, absolutely. So, and I've got a little bit of an insight with friends in the military and some of the shows and stuff I've done, but the levels of clearance on some of these things, like the guy working in the hall across the hall, right? He may not have a clue he's designing a laser beam that comes out of an insect. Right? This guy's creating the insect.
Maybe just designing one little part of it that you don't know what the purpose is, but then you put all those little parts together from all those. That makes something big.
It's so crazy because that's the whole thing that Emery Smith said. He said, they walked him in and he went in to that one little room and just worked on that one little piece. And it took years before they let him see the whole piece. You know what I mean? So you're just like, of course, some of these people don't know, we just want you to work on that only.
Yes. Yeah. You're a specialist, not a generalist.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Crazy.
So, with this new I think what they want to say, the veil is lifting, or it's getting more transparent. Do you feel like that's empowering, especially you, but in general, creative people to come out with more things?
I think so. For me, I feel like, it's time, and I can, whereas I know sometimes it feels like we're suppressed and then we can't talk about things, but I would beg to differ. I would say, no, we can, and you have to have a little more bravery, I think, in a lot of different ways. But if you raise your consciousness, you raise the vibration, you keep it high, stand in, love, there's only love and fear, right? Those are the two things. That's it. You're either here or you're here. So I'm constantly going, okay, am I standing in love on this? Or am I going to stand in fear? Because there's a whole host of things that can happen with that. And it's weird. I do weird little practices, like, something goes wrong tech wise or something like that. And you call them and, you just want to, like, you're like, you're a damn robot, Jesus, it's an actual human, but you're just like, you just want to make them wrong. And, and all that comes up. And then in that moment, you have a choice to step into love and compassion and understanding and communication in such a way that you don't hurt them or blame them. Like I had a real win with that. I don't know, about a month ago. And I was like, oh, congratulations. You didn't, make that person wrong, and it, sugar gets a lot more with, and it wasn't placating either. I wasn't like trying to be inauthentic or anything like that. I was just really standing in, we're going to resolve this, and it's not their fault.
Do you think that people are more afraid, or do you think people are, what's holding people back is that they're either more afraid of failure, or do you think they're more afraid of success or reaching their full potential?
That's a really interesting question, and I don't think that is that's like the top layer of stuff, right? I think what's underneath everything is really allowing yourself to have clarity inside of that and have breakthroughs, because a lot of times we'll pick up stuff along the way or from our childhood or our parents or whatever, and it may be as simple as you're not good enough. That just that little in the back somewhere that says you're not good enough. And so every time that kind of comes up as a feeling or an experience, you start making choices based out of that. And then inside of that, then you go, oh, well, I'm just afraid of, success, or I'm just afraid of failure. You start manifesting it. You know what I'm saying? Then it looks like that, but that's not really what it is. It's like it's underneath. So that's
it's
just
like
my
what is it built on? Yeah. Right.
Yeah. It's just my perspective on it. But yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as us, all of us trying to, we know that we have a homeless population. We know, it's like, and no one is looking at why. Like no one is looking, they're trying to band-aid, throw it over here, move it over there, get a new law, arrest all of them, shove them off into a camp or something. You're like, what? We're not looking at what's underneath all of it. What's underneath is psycho-spiritual. There's all kinds of stuff that's happening underneath for each individual. Not every homeless person is a drug addict. Not every, it's very frustrating because, and we've got to stop this economic conversation that we don't have enough, and that goes to what I was just saying too about my own personal, foundational clarity. We're going to stop that little story that's happening. I don't have enough. I'm not good enough. I can't afford that. And it's subtle, right? You got to grab it and to change your mind. It's not easy. It's not easy.
No, self-talk. It's horrible.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that I did with Soul on Fire book. It's a PDF on Amazon. It's really cheap. Anyway, it's affordable. But I wanted to, I set it up so it's like, okay, question, how do I be more kind to myself, more, offer more grace in every moment, and then I talk a little bit about, our self-love is medicine, so I talk about that. And then I create a soul action for the day. And then I create this mantra, I am great the way I am. So then it kind of just day by day, my friend of mine said they do one a day, and so it just really helps to start their day out. So I just, I think that's, just a little contribution of how I can share with people of what I think works, and if it doesn't, make something up yourself.
You had mentioned before that you mentioned about your authentic voice. Do you think that's something you need to discover, or do you need to build it?
That's a two-parter question.
Sorry.
I think while you're building it, you discover it. I really do. You have to jump in. You have to use your bravery and jump in and just get messy and figure it out and decide, it's not worth it to me to talk about that. Just like what you were saying. Your friend, the guy that, is now the astronaut that said, I don't care, I'm talking about it. That's his journey. And he said, you know what, it's mine. I'm going to talk about it. So that's really, I think all of us need to find that place and do that in our own way. You may not want to, go out and do X, but you might want to do Y over here. You know what I mean? And just go do that. So that's just kind of how I look at it. Yeah.
One of the Navy SEALs, he said his mantra was "own your shit."
That's great.
I was like,
as opposed to renting.
Well, no, he was saying if you do something right or wrong, own it.
Own it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. See, my streamlined rural autistic brain went straight to, instead of renting,
It's so funny. Instead of renting, yeah, that's hilarious. Oh my God, that's great. That's great.
But yeah, and he's like, whatever you do, right or wrong, you're going to consciously make a choice to make a choice, or consciously make a choice to not make a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, own it.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't let anybody tell you can't do it. Don't anybody, tell you, like you said, you're not good enough. Just own your shit. You're good enough. Get out there and do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think a lot of times when that boy, that us we can't do something, 9 times out of 10, that's us telling ourselves we can't do it. People out there aren't talking to us. We're talking to ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the fear, right? It's the fear that creeps in. It's like, oh, I'll get in trouble, or someone's not going to like that. Or what if I'm, whoa.
Yeah.
But you gotta, I say the mind is a terrible thing. Stay out of it.
Stay out of it.
Stay out of it.
Don't go in mine. You don't want to be in there. It's just...
That's an author's mind. That's why it's not on paper, right?
I go off on tangents.
See, that's great. Now that's creative, and that's the I'm on the mat doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Answer your
question. I mean, it's a, it's a double-edged sword. Sorry, I'm not toting my creativity, but it's a double-edged sword because, and I've talked to a lot of creators where when you get into that zone and you're just letting your creativity flow through you, for me, what I experience is I'll either go somewhere I'm like, wow, that was great. That came out of my head, or I'm questioning my sanity. It's one or the other. It's not, somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, that's both.
Like, what the heck is wrong with me? That came out of my head.
Yeah.
The CIA calls that remote viewing.
It's
true. No, I'm literally looking. It's just, I'm looking inward. So what is that? Inner viewing?
Interviewing. No, I think that's good, because that's how I wrote my first book, because I thought, I'm not an author, I'm a songwriter. But it was kind of a joke, actually, when I decided to do it, like, because I had a friend that had been writing a book for 10 years. And I go, really? How long does it take to write a book? But what I realized after I got into it was that different books have different needs, and sometimes research is important. So mine didn't need to research anything. So I just knew what I knew. So that's what I realized. And I just knew that you just got to let yourself be you, just drop it all down, be as creative as you want, then go back and fix things, but don't try to edit while you're writing.
Oh, that's my vice. Because I used to be able to just write it all out, but after 4 books, I'm working on my 5th, and I have to edit all those 4 books and stuff, and I'm stuck in edit mode, and it's like, it's like the drain is clogged. Yeah, because I can only get so far, and then I have to go back and edit it.
I see. Okay, you're okay. Wow, you're you should let yourself, like, this is how I did it. I'm not saying it's the right way. Just how I did it. I go 1 chapter a day. That's it. 1 chapter a day. And then I let it go. And then I went back, but I let myself at least say everything I wanted to say. And it didn't mean it was wonderful. I went back and went, oh, no, or add on, or added more that I wanted, like, oh, okay. Yeah. I just need to add more to that. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I know I start trying to, like, make notes for myself, but I do the, like 1200, I have my program set. I'm doing 1200 words today.
Okay.
And then before I do another 1200 the next day, I'm going to read it all over.
Brilliant. I think that's key, man. And then you don't lose the context either. So
yeah, exactly. You're still on the same flow, because there's some chapters that are not 1200 pages long.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 100%.
How difficult is it to switch back and forth between songwriter and author?
Different headspace, different hat. Obviously, songwriting is it's like a short story. So you get like a really short story, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, or verse, chorus, bridge. So you have to just decide what's the format. I let myself flow first, I let myself just write. Sometimes it's just lines, I'll get it. Like one of my songs on the new album that's going to be this next year is called Cypress Moon. And one of the songs is called If the Creek Don't Rise. And I was like, that's a great line. If the creek don't rise and if the levee holds, it's like that. But I couldn't get anything after that. So I just wrote it down and moved on, and then I came back. And then there are some songs for me, like just my first song I ever really like officially wrote, which is called Change. It took me, I was in a meditation and I came out of it and I just wrote it, and that was it. It didn't get changed. So other stuff I get rewritten. Yeah.
When you're doing that, you have to have such powerful word economy. Do you find that you try to put multiple meanings into each line?
I don't overthink it like that. A couple times I have, and I went, oh, no. Now I get it all clogged up, right? So I have a thesaurus, and I know what idioms are. So, I'll create the intention, the context, and I'll say, yeah, I just really want to sing about that. And then I see what happens, just see what comes out, and I'll get lines sometimes, or I'll just be doing something and then something will pop in, or someone will say something. I go, ooh, yeah, that's really good. Or you go, okay, everybody's angsty about this. So how do we talk about this? Like, so it gets into people's hearing, and then all kinds of other things happen. It's similar in the sense of, then we got to figure out a key, then we got to do a melody, then are we going to have live players, or am I going to what am I going to do? So there's all these things, kind of like the more cerebral aspect of it. But when it comes to the creative part for me, I just write out what I think I'm going to do, and then if I can't get the whole thing, I'll come back, I'll do it later, whatever.
I don't know if it's the same for songwriting as it is for book writing, but that's what editors are for.
Yes.
To help
clean
it up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, like on my I Ride song. So I was trying to be clever, and I wrote, red on your coat, blue at your throat. Right. So red coats, blue coats, right? So I was like, oh, I'm so clever, but nobody's necessarily going to get that, right? I was being very cerebral about it. And my music partner comes running in. He hears me singing. He goes, no. It's blood on your coat, blue at your throat. It gave more of a visceral experience. And then I was like, oh yeah, that's it. And so when he said that, I was like, ding, 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 ding. It went, yes. Dang it. I wanted to be clever. Dang it. Dang it.
You were halfway there. It's like trying to open the pickle jar and then you pass it to somebody who's like, I loosened it.
No, let me do that. But it was funny though, because at first he was trying, there were some lines in there and I was like, part of me. It's actually, I don't do that. I just, inside I do that. I just go like this. Okay. You want to say what? It's fine to me. I love it. I wrote it. It's great. It's going to be great. And then you go and you're singing along and he comes running in. And he's like, no, it's blood on your coat. Oh yeah, that's it. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to elicit, right? The emotion, right? Not just be clever. And so I stand corrected. So blood on your coat, blue at your throat. Brothers at dusk, we all stand one for all. So I was like, oh yeah, because that's what they would do, right? They would stand together, one and all. So anyway, that worked out. That's how that works.
I envision you standing on a stage in Washington, D.C. singing that. So I see it.
Thank you.
I think you got this.
And we got a lovely taste of it too, when you gave us a little serenade.
Oh yeah, but erase that.
It's a very casual serenade. Let's do that. Casual serenade.
Casual serenade. Not in pitch. Not on the key.
Hey, it's better than I could do.
I didn't know I was going to sing that. But I just kind of like, yeah. And then, I got to say it like that. But thank you for saying that, Glenn, because that's what I keep seeing myself. Like it's got to be not at the barbecue down the street. Not that that's not important, but I think it's really important that a lot of people hear it, and it's really has to imbibe that experience, that emotion, when to remember what it was like, for these people. And I know because every time I play it, people are crying. Every time I sing it, I cry. And it's really hard because I don't do well singing and crying. But it's really, really important. And I think that's what's really touching. It's going to touch a lot of people and shift the energy for that. Yeah. So thank you for saying that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know, like those songs that just give you goosebumps and stuff. And I think those ones are really emotionally imbued.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we do have a source. So we're gonna pitch that to this source. So got to get it done. We got should be in the can in April. So my guy's playing the guitar right now, and we need to mix and master, and then it's gonna go into the hands of some pretty important people. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So hold that space for me, you guys.
I got it. Yeah. So it's gonna be somewhere between MMA and the indie. So, there's so much going on there.
Just kind of like making room in the brain.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Well, having grown up in DC, I make fun of a lot of these things because I'm like, are they really going to do an indie race? And then I'm like, they're really going to do an indie race.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's cool. And then I'm like, well, an MMA fighting thing on the lawn, it could go either way, but I'm like, it's kind of cool. I mean, it's never been done before, but hey, we've never been 250 before.
That's right.
We didn't know what it looked like 250 years ago. So,
we're not quite as old as that.
you know what's really neat? That's the one thing I really love about Massachusetts is that when I was there and I went up to Concord and Lexington, the whole 9 yards, and the beautiful thing about it is that for 4th of July, I was there 4th of July too 1 year, and I thought, oh, let's go. I see they're going to do something for the Declaration on 4th of July, and I'm like, well, that's what it's about. It's not necessarily about barbecues, or explosions. And so we went there, and of course it was the hottest day of the year, and it was all at the North Bridge right there, and where it all started, the gunfire, when that went down, and it was so cool. They had a whole troop of guys in costume, from that time period walk in, and then the guy with the wig and everything, and he literally read the Declaration of Independence like out loud. It was the neatest thing. I went, that's what 4th of July is about. Everyone standing around, together, families, everybody. And there was probably, I don't know, I would say 300-400 people, in this little small area. And we were all just standing there, feeling moved and sweating.
Melting
sweating, a little. Melting. In that Massachusetts heat.
They do that in Washington, D.C. Well, let me back up. I grew up in Mount Vernon, outside of D.C. They have somebody like George Washington and Martha, and they come out and they're in costume and they do that.
Wow.
And then, of course, at the end of the night, they blow fireworks up over the Potomac, which is really cool.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
But yeah, they come out in it's really weird because I didn't know a lot about a military history and stuff like that. But being in that area, we learned a lot about the American Revolution, especially George Washington. Actually, my house was on his pig farm.
Wow.
Really? Well, not hundreds, but, back in a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so we learned, and it felt special.
Yeah.
And even today, I still identify myself, God, I hate to say this because Virginia has fallen, but as a Virginian. I think it's a special thing. The Old Dominion, because in schools they taught us about the American history, and we could go around and see it. We could go to the museums. They taught us about the Civil War, and we could see the suffering and things. And it was a total different experience than if I went to school in Idaho.
Right. And it helps you not forget. You're actually, and as a Virginian or a Carolinian or whatever, you would say my country, Virginia, my country, which I thought was really interesting. I did not know that they weren't quite the United States yet. So we would say my country, meaning the United States. I wouldn't say my country, California, that kind of thing. Really, really fascinating things to like really, really see the upsides, the downsides, the whole thing. But I think the key is, and I feel like we're coming around to this again, is to really, really, what are we standing for? What have we lost? What have we forgotten?
Yes.
And what's important, and to really, really understand that, especially in this time when lots of things are deteriorating, and I mean on all levels. So, and I know it has to break down to build back up, but anyway, I'm watching. I don't know if have you guys ever watched Turn? It says Washington Spies. It's called Turn, Turn.
Oh, okay.
Turn, Washington Spies, and it's so amazing. Like the show, it's like a 3 or 4 series. It was in 2014, I think it was when it was released, with Jamie Bell in it. It's fabulous. It gives you a real authentic sense of what people were going through at the time, and it's really, really amazing. That's how we started our spy ring. That's how we got the CIA. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the things I despise them saying, and I can understand where people in this day and age get it, but when Robert E. Lee was called to action and they were going to give him the entire army, and he said, I can't abandon my country, Virginia. And everybody's like, well, he's a traitor. No, he felt that there had been blood loss. There had, that was theirs, and they didn't want anybody taking it away.
Yeah.
And but like I said, I can see where people can get it today, but I don't see it that way as a Virginian, because he felt Virginia was his. I mean, his house was Arlington Cemetery.
Wow.
Wow. And it was bequeathed through the Washington family. And so, he felt connected to the land, and he said, I can't leave my country, which was Virginia at the time.
Fantastic.
So, you're right.
Wow. Yeah. And I think a lot of times too, younger people or whatever, if you're not quite educated or in the know, so to speak, it's like you can step back and judge, 250, you're like, but you know what? It was a different time then, and it was different rules and different ways of people, not to excuse anything. You just have to understand the context, of, that's not right, but that's where people were, and let's please don't go back there.
Absolutely.
Well,
we're not perfect.
Yeah.
We're going through stupid stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like Jen and I had a conversation just the other day, and I like to say, America, we like to blow shit up, but she come around and she goes, well, somebody eventually had to do it. And I was like, point, good point.
Yeah. It was going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
So we just beat them to the chase.
Yep.
Hey,
it's just nobody wanted to be there to do it. Sorry.
Oh yeah, nobody wanted to be that guy. No, we've got that guy. Before you get out of here, I always ask everybody, and I'm sure you've got some cool paranormal story for us since we last spoke.
I do. Well, maybe it's like a repeat. Let's see. What was my paranormal story? Oh, did I tell you the time that I was in the church?
This doesn't sound familiar.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So that, I mean, it was like really overt, but I think I was like 13, that budding age where you're angsty and stuff. So I was a Catholic, and I would take myself to church. My parents would go to their church, which would be the bar, but so they would drop me off, and then they would pick me up. And so it was after church. Everyone had left. It was raining because I was living in Oregon, and so I went back in. I was really upset and really sad, and I just started praying to Jesus so much, and I was crying. I was kneeling. I was up at the altar. I was like, and all of a sudden, and the place is it's like a 2,000 seat Catholic church. Okay, there's nobody in there, and all of a sudden, in my right ear, I heard, Glenda, God is not outside of you. God is within. And it wasn't because I knew scripture or anything like that. It was just, that. It was a male voice. It was in my right ear. I immediately opened my eyes and I turned, and there was no one there. And I looked all around and there was nobody there. Like, it was instantaneous, that inspiration or whatever. And I would consider that paranormal because it wasn't my voice to myself.
Do you have any clue who it was?
I'm guessing it was probably, a guardian angel or somebody, maybe. I don't know. But it had me stand up and leave, wipe my face, wipe my eyes. And I went on a journey from that moment on to find out what did that mean, So it was,
I'm pretty sure I told you that's one of the reasons I started this show.
You're
kidding. I was attacked on duty by the pit bull. And I'll crux the story. We were going on a call, and as I was walking down the driveway, this voice in my head, I couldn't tell if it was male, female, whom it was, said, "Don't get bit." I look up on Jen's rolled her eyes. She's heard this story. I look up.
No, I'm not rolling my eyes.
These little dogs, and I'm like, okay, I got it. I'll kick the dog. And so I take a couple more steps. This voice in my head screams, "Don't get bit." And then once again, me being a slow learner, I look on the front porch and hey, I can own it. And I see these little chihuahuas, and I'm like, okay, got this. And at that time, I was attacked from behind by the pit bull.
Oh my
and nobody else saw it. My driver was behind me, my sergeant was in front of me, another crew, PD was running past me. I mean, it was just chaos. Nobody saw it. And so I'm looking at my hand, and my two fingers are like dropped down, and blood's running out of my glove.
Oh my God.
Like, this sucks. And the voice comes back in my head and says, "Don't worry. Everything's going to be okay." And by this time I'm arguing with myself in my head, and I'm like, no. I was just attacked by a dog. And they were like, it's only going to hurt for a little while, and everything's going to be okay.
Wow.
And that's one of the reasons I started the show is I want to hear other people's stories to see if I could ever figure out what that voice was or who that voice was.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I feel like it's probably one of my guides, probably that's what I think it is. It's one of my guides going, you need to wake up now. Like, God is not outside of you. Stop. Please help me. None of that. Stop it. And I think a lot of us need to know that too. It's not out there. It's not the minister. It's not this person. It's not that person. It's you. It's in here. Ask you. It's within, and that's the empowerment place too. And I think I see a lot of people, like you said, own it. So if we stand up and we own our own empowerment, our own mind, our own ideas, not someone else that's, telling us a bunch of junk about whatever and fear, monger, stop it. Just stop it. Be quiet for a minute. Find out what's real for you, and then just own it, own up to it, even if someone is not agreeing with you. I mean, you don't have to get a signpost and, whatever, but just, just own that and say, that's how I'm going to live my life. And that's how I'm going to make that difference, for others. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We have a huge audience now in Australia. We're live in Australia.
Awesome. Hey,
and, I want to make sure everyone knows how to get in touch with you if they choose to, and if they can, where they can buy your works and stuff like that. And of course, we're going to have you back again.
I love you guys. I love, that's why I say yes, I'm here. Yeah, it's real simple, everybody. Just glendamusic.com. That's probably the easiest way. It takes you right to my website. You can get everything from there. If you buy merchandise or my music or my books, you can get my books on there too. And it takes you right to Amazon. I have Amazon Australia too. So it's easy enough. And then I know who buys what. And so then what I do is I take $1 off of whatever you've purchased and I plant a tree with one tree planted.
Oh,
that's nice. That's my thing. I plant trees with
back to the earth
with one tree planted. Somebody says, "How do you have time to go plant trees?" And I was like, I'm not planting trees. Let me see if I can rephrase that.
I got a guy.
You're making it possible for trees to be planted.
That's right. I've planted over 400 trees now in Scotland, Washington, and Oregon.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
California too. I got a few going here too.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Glenda, please come in. And hopefully I'll be able to keep Jen for a little while longer. So.
Yay, Jen, stay, Jen. Stay.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
And
maybe to bed though, eventually, but
right.
Come up in the chat here, and Chris says Babe Ruth hit a lot of very long and monstrous home runs, Jen, but he also swung and missed embarrassingly at times. Don't ever stop trying to be Babe Ruth. So. And he says, I think whoever that first person was who come to your mind when you try to figure out where the voice is, you have your answer. So Chris is wise beyond his years. So
yes, except I don't want to be Babe Ruth. I want to be me.
Exactly.
Own your shit.
Yeah.
All right, Glenda, have a wonderful night. Thank you very much. And we will hopefully have you back soon. I missed you.
Yes. Thanks so much. I appreciate you guys. Love you bunches. And I'll keep you in the loop for 4th of July.
Please do. Please do.
Sounds good.
All right.
Have a great night.
Bye.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
These hours do. I say this every week, but these hours just fly by. So
they do.
And Glenda is a wonderful person, a wonderful human being, and a great guest. I love her to death. And she has apparently relaxed a little bit because I think that's the first time she serenaded. So
it was lovely. I was like, oh, yay.
She's got, such a clear, crisp, powerful voice.
Mm-hmm.
So, check her out, Glenda.
I need the windows closed on my car, and then I can let my pipes go.
No, that's the soundproofing so nobody can hear you.
Yeah. Well, they maybe can for a few seconds. They're driving by. I'm not singing at the stoplights.
And nobody wants to hear me sing, not even in the shower. The dog pound will show up. So Jen, we'd like to tell everybody, especially in Australia, since we love our fans there. We love our fans everywhere, but tell everybody where they can find your stuff and what you got coming up next.
Yeah, check out my website, jmshawauthor.com. I have links to my books. You can read all about them. They are available through Amazon in Australia. And there's links to my Facebook and Instagram on the bottom of my website. So you can follow me and see when my next book is coming out.
Awesome. And that will also be in the show notes. Chris says, if I'm singing, I'm having more than one dog biting me.
Or maybe you're singing because the dogs are biting you.
True. Next week, we have another repeat author visiting us, and I'm hoping she tells us a little about her trip down into Mexico, where she was doing some research for her book. And then we have another author lined up with that. So it's going to be a great show, as always. And Jen, you're not going anywhere. I'm keeping you. Cheyenne, she just has to work all the time now, so she'll be back. Harley, it's her tax season, so she'll be back. Otherwise, I'm just gonna go crazy without all you ladies. So I need you. Don't leave me. So
nope, not leaving.
Oh, and I want it now that we're kind of off the air. I do want to thank whomever the other show was that rated us. They left after they realized they'd been caught. Thank you for giving us the views, the comments. Jen, you have to go back and read some of those comments. There was like 2 of them at once, and I'm like, okay, I know what's going on here. But we do appreciate it. If it was Uncle Rico, thank you. He's done that before to me. So just sometimes I got to be careful with some of the comments because I don't want to run any. That's how I lost Amando, was because of that. So I don't want to do that. All right, everybody. Well, have a great night. We will see you next week. Check me out tomorrow, noon till 2 on the Thin Line. Chris says it was them. It was Uncle Rico's show. So thank you, Uncle Rico. I appreciate you for rating me. Their producer will probably message me. They're actually very good people. So they've helped our show out some. So thank you to them. I appreciate the rating, but we got to break Jen in a little more gentler. So,
I have 4 brothers, 2 of which are welders. I think, and I worked in emergency for many years, so I think I'm not as green as you would think.
Okay, well, I'll just let you can answer all the questions they had to me privately. So there you go. All right, everybody. Thank you for allowing us to tickle your ears. Check me out tomorrow, noon till 2 on the Thin Line Rock Station, and hear me playing some music. And then, of course, Brenda and I'll be talking all things. I don't know. We're blowing some more shit up tonight, so we'll be talking about that, I'm sure. So maybe the National Guard's going to be in our airports, which are going to kill people. So. One of the politicians said if you send ICE into the airports, they're going to kill Americans. But do you not understand how law enforcement works? It's kind of their job to not let anybody get hurt. So they'll re-elect them. All right, everybody, have a great night. We will talk to you soon. Cat, you're in the Talk to you soon.